Flashback to 1988. The Reagan era was coming to an end. The Soviet Union withdrew its troops from Afghanistan. We had both a summer and winter Olympics in the same year. The Cosby Show ruled the TV ratings, and Guns N' Roses' Appetite for Destruction topped the Billboard charts. The world was changing in significant ways, and in the movie theaters, Americans were treated to a wonderfully inventive, original slate of films that would delight both audiences and critics. So join the great pop culture debate as we throw it back to determine the best film of 1988. It's a topsy-turvy world. And maybe the decisions in one podcast don't amount to a hill of beans, but this is our hill, and these are our beans. I'm your host, Eric Rezsnyak. Please welcome my panelists for this episode who may or may not have seen my naked gun. Our first panelist is the reigning champion in his local lamb fries eating contest. That's right, everyone, sheep balls. It's Bob Erlenback.
The secret is, Eric, you have to cut them off way up high.
Well, welcome back to our funny farm, Bob. Next, she still doesn't know if she should send her SAT scores to Stanford or San Quentin. It's Kate Racculia.
Greetings and salutations, Eric. I'm so ready for today's lunchtime poll.
Fuck me gently with a chainsaw. It's the Martha Dump Truck Massacre. And finally, like John McClane, he's coming into this debate guns blazing. It's Michael Schwarz.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
Merry Christmas from Nakatomi Plaza. And up at the producer booth, we have Derek Makita, who is, spoiler, the person who actually framed Roger Rabbit. If you're curious about how we ended up with this Sweet 16, become a Patreon supporter of the podcast or listen to the 3-minute preview, available wherever you listen to podcasts. With that out of the way, the royal penis is clean. We're coming to America and getting into these debates. First up, the panel has made the unanimous decision to spend another round in Toontown as ultimate number 1 seed Who Framed Roger Rabbit went ape on 4-seed Gorillas in the Mist. But Bob, you wanted to speak on the Great Apes.
Yeah, so I don't have a ton to say about Gorillas in the Mist other than it was the story of Diane Fossey, and I just wanted to tell a fun little anecdote about maybe this might be one of the reasons why it didn't make the bracket. Is I went to see this movie with my grandmother at the Finger Lakes Mall in the outskirts of Syracuse, New York.
Glamour.
And when we watched the whole movie, like, I really wasn't into it. I was way too young to, like,
were
really...
you, like, 9?
I was young.
Yeah.
And, well, yeah, it was
Oh, God,
1988,
you
so I would have been 10-ish. And so as we are leaving, the manager of the theater is standing outside of the theater handing out tickets, and we don't understand what's going on. And as we're leaving, I'm like, Grandma, what was that? Why was the man handing out tickets? Well, apparently they had shown the reels out of order for the movie, and nobody noticed in the theater. I said to my grandmother, I was wondering, Grandma, why she had been murdered and then was alive again for the end of the movie. So it was shown out of order and nobody even really noticed. So maybe it shouldn't be on the bracket, but it is actually a wonderful movie. And Sigourney Weaver is excellent. But other than that, that's my story.
Thank you very much, Bob. Great points. I was just waiting for Fosse, Martha Graham. And not that movie.
Madonna.
Yeah. Exactly. All right. Thank you very much. So we are moving Who Framed Roger Rabbit into round 2. Next, the majority of the panel is in for big fun and for 2-seed Heathers to advance to round 2. But Bob wants us to put a little love in our hearts by supporting 3-seed Scrooged. Bob, give us the dickens for not supporting Bill Murray in Scrooged.
If you were to listen to the Patreon warm-up, you guys will hear that I talked about Funny Farm being a vehicle for Chevy Chase. Scrooged, a modern-day Dickens A Christmas Carol, is an absolute vehicle for Bill Murray. He eats this up. Does the thing from beginning to end in Scrooge. It is phenomenal. It is great. It is a holiday classic at this point. We talk about it on our best holiday film episode as well. Also, about sausage being made. When Eric sends us the pairings to be argued for the bracket, he typically will highlight 2 different people to argue both sides of this argument. And I'm the only one arguing. He didn't assign Heathers to anyone because he wants it to sail through. As Alyssa Edwards would say, rigor mortis. I smell a stunt. But anyway, I see that both of these movies were both obviously from 1988. They're both dark comedies. I think that Scrooged is the dark feel-good comedy. It leaves you more on an upbeat feeling. It is more about the more approachable, family-friendly. You can watch this with your friends and family, and everybody is going to enjoy it. I think Heathers is a little more niche in that regard.
Sure.
It was considered a flop. It technically did not come out in 1988. It came out in Italy in 1988. It went to Sundance in January, and then it came out in 1989 in the United States around March or April. So there might be a technicality there that might remove Heathers from my mind. It's an uphill climb for me to talk about Scrooged because at least 50% of this bracket I know has a very soft and very they're imprinted with Heathers, or Heathers is imprinted on them, and so I think this is an uphill climb. But overall, I think Scrooge was a modest hit. It was 13th of the year for the top films of 1988. Heathers didn't even make it into the top 200 because it barely made $1 million when it was released, and it's the feel-good versus the feel-bad dark comedy, and the Scrooge still has Carol Kane and the great slapstick physical comedy of Carol Kane. So that's my argument.
Michael Schwarz, I can see you reacting a lot. Where are you on this one?
Well, you know how I feel about this if you refer back to our best holiday movie. Scrooged is one of my favorite holiday movies of all time.
Yeah.
In that bracket, I moved it forward before, but in this bracket, I think that Heathers is the better film to move along in terms of, cultural zeitgeist for our popular culture. And Bob wants to tell me why I'm wrong.
No, I just wanted to say I think you're right about the cultural impact of Heathers. Now, today, modern day, it was not a cultural impact as it is today. It is more of a now thing than it was a then. And I think at the time it was very, very carved out as to what its audience was at the time, and most people weren't seeing it. So real quick, sorry about that.
No, you're good. It's a good point. It was super ahead of its time.
It was. Kate, where are you on this one?
That's a really good point about the 88-ness of it. I love Heathers. It's imprinted on my soul. I think I can't not pick it. But I also just want to say that the effects in Scrooged are incredible.
I think you did a Herculean job defending Scrooge. Everybody knows that I love Scrooge. I want to do a whole Scrooged episode for holidays at some point. I see Michael raising his hand. But to the point that was just made, Heathers was ahead of its time in a way that, I think it found its footing on VHS, which is true for many films of the 80s. They may have been flops initially, but VHS made them huge. And Clue for sure, but many of the films on this list, I think, were actually so ahead of their time in a way that, we don't have that type of filmmaking that widely spread anymore. We just simply don't. So I'm going to stick with Heathers as well. It will advance into round 2. Bob, great job. Next, the panel is evenly split between two long-running franchises that launched in 1988. One seed, The Naked Gun, and 4 seed, Die Hard. Kate, tell us why you're Hans on for Die Hard. I'll explain why I'm still on the case with Lieutenant Frank Drebin, Police Squad. Kate, please go first.
Die Hard. What to say about Die Hard? It was directed by John McTiernan, who had an absolutely insane run. I think it was 87, he did Predator, 88, he did this, and 89, he did The Hunt for Red October. And then he went to jail, because I think he paid someone to try to kill someone. It was a whole thing.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, just look it up. So it's adapted from a book by Roderick Thorpe called Nothing Lasts Forever, that's about a retired cop who's stuck in a skyscraper during a Christmas party, trying to foil a terrorist plot that's actually just a heist. You have Alan Rickman, is one of the greatest bad guys of all time, Hans Gruber. You have Bonnie Bedelia with incredible hair. You have Reginald VelJohnson playing the sergeant on the ground who helps him out. And you have Bruce Willis as John McClane. Die Hard made Bruce Willis, he made Bruce Willis a thing. He was incredibly popular on Moonlighting. And I was reading, they didn't feature him in a lot of the advertisements for this movie because they didn't think he was a selling point. They were like, and this TV guy is here. But he became an enormous, major star because of this movie, because this movie knew how to use him as not a Stallone, as not a Schwarzenegger, as a new kind of action hero who is a smart aleck and who you just can't kill, which is what Die Hard, the name, refers to. So it was nominated for 4 Oscars, visual effects, sound editing. He was the thinking man, snarky action hero, and he did it all without wearing shoes. The shadow of this film is hard to talk about because it's almost like Citizen Kane. It spawned an entire subgenre of action films about one person or one or two people being outmatched in a restricted space. There's actually a podcast called Die Hard on a Blank, which is about all of the different movies that are sort of inspired by this, Die Hard on Alcatraz, The Rock, Die Hard in a kid's movie, Home Alone. So that's part of the shadow. Another part of the shadow is this movie gave birth to the idea of the alternative Christmas film. which is a thing that we talk about. Is Die Hard a Christmas movie? What other movies are Christmas movies? Basically everything Shane Black has ever written, etc. So those are the two parts of the cultural shadow. I love this movie.
Thank you so much. So let's talk about The Naked Gun. Spinning out of the failed ABC TV series Police Squad, which ran for only 4 episodes in 1982 before being canceled, The Naked Gun picks up where the police procedural spoof of Detective Frank Drebin, played with desert-level dryness by Leslie Nielsen. While the concept didn't hit on television, it was a smash in the cinema, grossing $152 million off of a $12 million budget, just missing out on the top 20 for the 1988 box office. And it spawned 2 sequel films, with a reboot coming later in 2025. Nearly 40 years after its release, The Naked Gun holds up. It is an absolutely hilarious romp with constant chuckles and a few set pieces that are uproarious classics. The car chase with the student driver, Drebin's escape from the office break-in, the entire Dodgers game sequence is so good. Honestly, it's easier to list the scenes in that movie that don't slap. In addition to the impeccable job by Leslie Nielsen, Priscilla Presley provided a surprisingly effective romantic interest, Ricardo Montalban was a menacing but also entertaining villain, and we even got O.J. Simpson in a comedic supporting role. In the words of director David Zucker, although O.J. actually improved with each film, his acting remained a lot like his murdering. He got away with it, but nobody really believed him. So, with that being said, Michael Schwarz, is it The Naked Gun or is it going to be Die Hard?
I know you know where I'm going to fall on this one for you. I'm a die hard to the end kind of thing.
All right, he's already there. Bob Erlenback, is it Die Hard or Naked Gun?
I think the argument about is Die Hard a Christmas movie is more fun than the actual movie. It's not a Christmas movie. I do enjoy Die Hard. I think everything Kate said about Die Hard being kind of that genre setting for Die Hard in a blank or whatever. I think that Naked Gun also sets the stage for a whole brand of comedy, just like Airplane did before it. Right? It's all the same. It's all the same blood. But so The Naked Gun. Go for it, Stephanie.
Go for it, Stephanie. Nice beaver. Thanks. I just had it stuffed. It doesn't matter. It's a split, and in a split we go to the seeds. Naked Gun is a 4 seed. Enrico Palazzo, we love you. We will be moving Die Hard into round 2. Next, it's 2 unanimous decisions as the panel is letting the river run for 2 seed Working Girl, meaning it was extinction again for the wee dinosaurs, and 3 seed The Land Before Time. And we're turning up the juice for 1 seed Beetlejuice, which meant that there were no votes to count for 4 seed Rain Man. Bob, you wanted to stick out your little neck to speak on Land Before Time?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that these were really cute movies. There's about a bajillion of them. They are the Bluth. Is that correct, Kate?
Correct.
They are of the Bluth milieu.
Yep. They were after American Tail. Yep.
Yeah. They always felt to me more direct-to-video type movies than anything else. Maybe not so much this first one, but they just had that vibe and that feel that they just didn't feel like cinematic pieces to me. So I just wanted to say that they're cute and they're great and people should watch them, and there's a million of them.
And they did have great puppets that you would get at Pizza Hut.
Oh my God, those puppets from Pizza Hut.
They were incredible. They're incredible.
They were amazing.
I do want to say, in the pantheon of being scarred by 80s children's movies, Littlefoot's mother's death is absolutely soul-destroying.
Brutal. And the Diana Ross theme song to that movie is...
Which we sang in chorus.
We did too. And it was just a dagger through my mother's heart. It is brutal, but it's so good. So good. Did anyone want to say anything about Rain Man? It was the best Oscar picture for that year.
Fine. Never seen it.
Definitely was. It definitely was.
Definitely was. I mean, it was both the highest grossing film of the year domestically, and it won Best Picture. So it was obviously very much of its time. But like, is it a movie that really holds up now? I don't think it does. That's why it's going out in round 1. Next, the majority of the panel is lapping up the melodrama and Aquanet of 2 seed Beaches, but I am trying to steal votes for 3 seed heist comedy A Fish Called Wanda. Michael, did you ever know that you're my hero? Be the wind beneath Beach's wings. I will lie, torture, and steal as I attempt to swing votes to Wanda. I'm going to go first here. I understand the affection and the nostalgia for Beaches. I do. I actually had never seen it until I needed to do my research for this episode. I'm going to pause for the gay gasp.
Gay gasp.
I know. Bob was apoplectic when he found that out.
The number of times I texted him saying, "Are you serious with me right now? You are not kidding me, right? You have not seen this?"
It was the truth. I wouldn't lie about that.
Eric, I know you had a horrible childhood, but please.
I know. Deprived. A little Latin boy in drag. Why are you crying? But to me, when I finally saw it, like, it's a Lifetime movie that somehow ended up in movie theaters.
It was 1988, Eric.
It was.
Everything was a Lifetime movie.
Sure. That being said, A Fish Called Wanda is such a riot, and it is so well constructed that I think it would be a crime to push it out in round one. Directed by Charles Crichton and written by Crichton and star John Cleese, this very British caper is equal parts heist movie, romantic comedy, sex romp, gangster film, and torture porn. The cast is impeccable. Jamie Lee Curtis is the double-crossing girlfriend of an abusive thief planning a big diamond score. Kevin Kline is her extraordinarily violent side piece, pretending to be her brother. Cleese is the milquetoast barrister brought in to defend the thief, whose life is completely turned upside down as a result of Curtis's wild scheme. And Michael Palin plays the good-natured but corrupted brother of the arrested thief, who also has a profound speech impediment. The speech impediment and the casual animal cruelty make A Fish Called Wanda a challenging watch now. However, the script and the performances are as electric as ever. Has Curtis ever been more seductive and sly? Has Cleese ever been, I was going to say, more interesting or likable, but frankly, has he ever been just likable? Has Kevin Kline ever been this hot and also terrifying, but also still totally hot? I don't think so.
Every time I turn against traffic, I always am like, asshole!
Yep. The film was a box office smash, earning more than $170 million for a British heist comedy, making it the 7th highest grossing film of the year. Beaches has Bette Midler devouring scenery and Barbara Hershey staying around with a stick up her ass. Michael, talk to us about it.
But I mean, of course, we do have to start with "You are the wind beneath my wing." And literally, we have, first of all, we have Bette Midler in 1988 with all the hair and all the melodrama and all the Bette-ness that you could possibly have it done. You have Barbara Hershey with the stick up her ass, with absolutely what it should be. It's the opposites attract friendship story of all time for you. There's not a single one of us, even you, Eric, I'm pretty sure cried at the end of this.
No, I was just like, get on with it.
Just die already?
Yes. I was like, come on. Also, your daughter's annoying.
We also have as a very young Mayim Bialik as Cece as a young child for us.
She's great.
John Hurd in this film for us, which I think makes it. And a completely underrated but wonderful staple of the 80s, Lainey Kazan is in this film too, who I think is just absolutely stunning and funny in everything that she does, I think. Yeah. So I think that it's a more heartwarming story than you get with Wanda, which I still love Wanda. I'm not going to put Wanda down for all of this, as like you did with Beaches, mind you. But, you're dead on the inside. We all know that.
Correct.
But I think it is just a wonderfully dramatic performance for all of them that make a lot of people cry. People feel something. Eric, they feel something when they watch this movie.
Thank you very much, Michael. Kate, where are you? Is it going to be Fish Called Wanda or is it going to be Beaches?
Fish Called Wanda is a riot, but it feels sort of like an anomaly in the zeitgeist. Beaches is so incredibly 80s in everything to its core. I have more stuff, and I will save it from a future argument, but I'm giving it to Beaches.
Bob Erlenback, is it Beaches or is it A Fish Called Wanda?
Well, Wanda is the titsling, and Beaches is the brassiere.
There we go.
Do you buy a titsling? No, I buy a brassiere. I'm going with Beaches.
All right, that's fine.
Thank you.
I just want to make a point that for the entirety of this podcast, every time I refer to Beaches, I will be doing it as though I'm talking like a fragrance commercial from Avon in the 1980s, because that to me is what it is. So we will be moving Beaches into round 2. Next, it's another unanimous decision for the panel, which is granting the wish of 1 seed Big to make it to round 2, meaning that 4 seed Twins is being separated from our bracket. Does anyone want to say anything about the Danny DeVito, Arnold Schwarzenegger joint? Kate Racculia?
I saw it a lot as a child in a way that you just saw things a lot as a child, and I haven't seen it in 30 years. That's all. What a time.
Bob Erlenback?
I just have to say, twins. No. The 80s specifically had this thing about, this isn't a body switching movie, but it's in that vein where vice versa, father like son, that body switching kind of gig in the 80s, and this kind of goes along with that. But yeah, twins.
Thank you for bringing that up. Michael Schwarz.
And if I'm going to watch an Arnold Schwarzenegger comedy, it's not going to be Twins. I'm going to be watching Kindergarten Cop or True Lies.
Absolutely. It's not a tumor.
It's not a tumor.
For sure.
But yeah, so not his best comedic work.
All right, so we will be moving big into round 2. Finally, in round 1, the majority of the panel wants to go out of Africa and for 2-seed Coming to America to advance to round 2. But Bob is all for integration and for 3-seed Hairspray to move into the Elite 8. Kate, put in an order at McDowell's and supersize your argument for Coming to America. Bob, dip into the John Waters of Hairspray. Bob, please go first.
Yeah, I don't think that I'll be able to win this, but it was more about me wanting to talk about Hairspray and the wonderful thing that it is, because let's talk about John Waters, and we will do a John Waters episode in the very near future. Stay tuned, everyone, right? It is... what he did in the brand of movies that he created, that subversive, against the establishment type of film, just continues here in Hairspray. It is, doing something that I think little else really on this list is doing, except maybe Heather's in that regard, being so subversive and being, challenging, society and challenging things. This is a film from a filmmaker, right? This is a person who has a filmmaking style. It was really its own thing when you look at everything else on this list. It expresses that absurdity of segregation unlike anything any other film has done, and I'm pretty sure no other film has really done it as effectively and efficiently at poking at segregation in like it does, to be able to point out like how absurd that was, and like why aren't we all together, and what is this, right? So I just think it's a very important film. It was nominated for 6 Independent Spirit Awards. It was nominated for the Grand Jury Prize at Sundance. It's just a great movie, and I think that at this point it is overshadowed and forgotten by what has come after it, because both the stage show and the movie of the musical are both phenomenal. I love that Hairspray musical movie. I really, really do.
Yeah.
But I think it needs to be spoken on, and I think John Waters needs to be praised in this moment on the bracket.
Great argument. Kate, can you talk to us about Coming to America?
I mean, that is a great argument. So directed by John Landis, who had worked with Murphy previously in Trading Places. You have Arsenio Hall as Semi, his best friend / aide, who also plays multiple roles. You have James Earl Jones. You have John Amos. Honestly, this movie has tons of people, both in the cast and cameos, including Eric LaSalle with his Soul Glow.
Soul Glow.
Nile Rodgers did that riff, which is why it slaps so much. And you have Eddie Murphy, who plays his primary role as Prince Akeem of the fictional African nation of Zamunda, who comes to the U.S. to find a wife who will love him for who he is, not because he's a king. Appropriately, he's like, I'm going to go to Queens. So it's a spin on A Prince and a Pauper. It's like a really cute story, very commercial, and it has all this sort of space for Eddie Murphy to play and be weird. Not all of it works, but I do find it super funny and charming. It really uses Eddie Murphy beautifully. He gets to be sweet as Prince Akeem, but he also gets to be ridiculous as like the lead singer of Sexual Chocolate. Like there's all these like bits in this movie. So the pop culture shadow, it actually, again, continued massive commercial success for Eddie Murphy. This movie made like $350 million globally. It didn't really get stellar reviews at the time, but it found its audience. I mean, it made a ton of money, and it found its audience on video and on cable, which is honestly where I saw it. It was on the campus movie channels all the time when I was in college. I watched it all the time. It's super charming. It's super funny. You can dip in and out of it because it's very episodic. And Eddie Murphy is just having a blast.
Excellent arguments from both of you. Michael, where are you going on this one?
So, the words that are about to come out of my mouth are, I loathe to say, I agree with Bob on a lot of what he said. I would prefer to see them in different brackets so that they both could move on.
Sure.
But in this case, God help me for saying this, I'm going to switch over and go with Bob. It is the better film here, and it is still super 80s at the same time about it, and I think that like the whole cultural impact too. We've seen it with the musical and the film of the musical and everything else that happens with it. So, Eric, I'm switching my vote. Ugh.
So that would leave us split. It's 2-2. And
yes.
Actually, Coming to America is the 2 seed here, and Hairspray is the 3. I don't disagree that Hairspray is actually the better film, but what is a more important film in 1988, which is part of my rubric here?
Yeah, I get it.
I do think Coming to America gets the nod there. I just think it has, and also you kind of alluded to this, Bob, that Hairspray is not strictly of that time, right? It is obviously of 1988, but it references an earlier time, and also it has been replicated multiple other times subsequently.
But we slipped Heathers right through. Continue.
Dragged. I feel as though it's a great film. I love everything about the film, but I am going to give it to Coming to America here, so that will continue into round 2. That's the end of round 1. We're going to take a quick break to crash the Corny Collins show with Motormouth Maybelle and Lil Inez. We'll be right back.
Good evening. I'm not Barbara Walters, and this is the Great Pop Culture Debate. In the ever-evolving landscape of pop culture, are you finding it difficult to keep up? The debates, the trends, the opinions, it can be quite overwhelming. What if there were a way to stay informed, to be in the know, without having to wade through a sea of information? I invite you to subscribe to the Great Pop Culture Debate newsletter, a curated collection of the most compelling discussions, the most insightful analyses, and yes, even a few controversial takes. Delivered directly to your inbox, it's your essential guide to navigating the fascinating world of movies, television, music, and more. Join us, won't you? Let us explore these cultural phenomena together. Subscribe to the Great Pop Culture Debate newsletter at greatpopculturedebate.com. Because as we all know, pop culture, it matters.
And we are back for round 2 of our best film of 1988 debate. Before we get to the Elite 8, I would like my panelists to share their social media and what else they're working on. Bob Erlenback, where can people find you? What you doing?
You can reach me at DisNerdBob on pretty much only Blue Sky now. I do have an Instagram, but I never post to it, and I don't really engage much there. But if you want to find me on Blue Sky. Working on this podcast, getting us all squared away for this season, and hopefully you guys, as the audience, are enjoying what you're hearing so far, and that's it.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Kate Racculia, where can people find you and what you're working on?
Same. I have an Instagram that I don't really engage with, but you can message me there at GomezRack and find some old pictures of my cats. I'm on Blue Sky as Kate Racculia. I'm just sort of lurking occasionally there. What am I working on? This podcast? Just like hanging in there, man. Just trying to do the thing.
Yeah, we appreciate it. Thank you very much. Michael Schwarz, where can people find you? What else are you working on?
Pretty much the only place you can find me is on Instagram, Therax329 there, THERAX329. Drop me if you think I said something wrong. But outside of this, I continue my work in the live reality game community out there for us. So people that are interested in live reality games, Survivor, Big Brother, Traders, etc., reach out to me. I'm happy to connect you with playing live reality games and online versions of them right now as well.
Excellent. A lot of traders in our country right now, so I assume you're getting a lot of applications.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much. The best place to follow us is on Blue Sky at gpcd.bsky.social or at gpcd on Mastodon. You should also make sure to subscribe to our page on YouTube, where we're posting more original video content in 2025. But what you really need to do is sign up for our weekly newsletter. It's new every Tuesday at noon, and it tells you about everything new in pop culture that week. Let me say new again. Sign up by finding this link on the episode at greatpopculturedebate.com or via our link tree on any of our social media accounts. Now let's move on to round 2 so we can get to that meeting in the afterlife waiting room with Juno, our caseworker. First up, it's another unanimous victory for 1-seed Who Framed Roger Rabbit, which meant that the chances for 2-seed Heathers were blown up. But Kate, would you mind saying a few words for your dead cult classic?
I love my dead cult classic.
Thank you. I was hoping you would pick up on that.
I just... like you said earlier, like I am bonded with this movie on a cellular level. I saw it on, I was probably like TBS or Comedy Central, bleeped all to hell. But like, even without the swearing, this movie is so emotionally violent and funny in a way that a 13-year-old felt like wildly seen by this film. And it's sort of, it's intelligence, it's sort of like satirical edge. And the things that this movie does with language, and the teen speak, it is entirely its own thing. It's dark, it's funny. Winona Ryder, I mean, I have adored her because of this movie forever. Like, I think time will tell this is her greatest moment. Like, and she's done some great things. Yeah. But including another movie we will talk about presently. Yep. But it's just such a weird, specific movie that like is so of its time and has been much imitated, but you kind of can't because it's just lightning in a bottle. That said, what's it up against?
It's up against Roger Rabbit.
Oh yeah, forget it. Like, Of these two movies, Heathers is the one that means something to my soul, but Who Framed Roger Rabbit is an absolute juggernaut of 1988 that is also close to my heart. So it has to be Roger Rabbit.
One of these movies could only take place in that particular point of time, and one of these movies, if Heather's released in the late 1990s, I would think it would make complete and total sense, and the other one would not. So that's why I'm giving it best film of. I'm taking it out of best film of 1988. So we are moving Roger Rabbit into the final four. Next, life is imitating an episode of Bob's Burgers as it's 1-seed Die Hard versus 2-seed Working Girl. Are we going to work hard or die trying, girl? Michael, blow shit up as you defend Die Hard. I will use my mind for business and my body for sin as I defend Working Girl. Michael, please go first.
Well, I think Kate covered a lot of the salient points in the first round about a Die Hard for it. But I think that what this really gives us in terms of this is this was that career-making film for Bruce Willis for us and moved on. You know, Melanie Griffith, Sigourney Weaver, all established at this point when Working Girl comes along. Even a young Harrison Ford that was in Working Girls was still a name at that point. Die Hard, I think to this day, I mean, people still talk about it on a regular basis. Working Girl, I will watch that for the minute that happens. The Carly Simon soundtrack for it is phenomenal and everything. But I think that in the long term, Die Hard still matters to this day to a lot of people from the Gen X or generation for us. And Working Girl is just a great film that we all love to feel good about.
So I think that it is actually very fitting that these two are up against each other because in many ways I think they're really similar, right? They're both starring vehicles for generally unknown actors. Yes, Melanie Griffith was around before that, but like this was her moment, right? And this would turn her into a Hollywood A-lister. They both offer comedic but insightful commentaries on social trends of the 80s, divorce in the case of Die Hard, women trying to break the glass ceiling in the case of Working Girl, and they both have memorable villains played by beloved actors. Working Girl is directed by Mike Nichols from a script by Kevin Wade, and it tells the story of Tess McGill, a radiant Melanie Griffith, a savvy financial assistant who has all the skills and insights to make it in business, but who is completely disregarded by her male chauvinistic colleagues. When new boss Catherine, played by Sigourney Weaver, is injured, it leaves Tess an opportunity to run with a big business play, and she takes substantial liberties with her career background and becomes entangled with dashing mergers and acquisitions bro Jack Traynor, played by total smoke show Harrison Ford. Yes, as Kate said on the break, this is Harrison Ford at his peak hotness. I argue that Temple of Doom is his peak physical hotness, but in terms of swoon worthiness, this is peak Harrison Ford.
The scene where there are two scenes where he's changing into the white shirt because he's worked all night and he needs a fresh shirt and he takes a shirt out of his desk. That scene and the scene at the end when he makes her lunch, forget about it. Gone.
Yep, forget about it. Done.
Done.
I don't think there's a single thing I would change about Working Girl. The leads and the supporting actors are impeccable. Joan Cusack and 20 Pounds of Hairspray earned an Oscar nomination, as did both Griffith and Weaver. The writing is so tight, and that soundtrack, as Michael mentioned, by Carly Simon, peerless in its ability to capture that coltish, hopeful energy of women just trying to seize their moment in the booming business world of the 80s. This was a major success critically and commercially. My only criticism is that nearly 40 years later, women are still to a degree dealing with some of the same shit that Tess was dealing with in this movie.
Sure shit are.
For instance, two incredibly qualified women who ran for the highest office in the land and who were both shoved aside in favor of the worst fucking dude on the planet simply because of their gender. How dreadful. Let the river run, indeed. Bob Erlenback, is it going to be Die Hard or is it going to be Working Girl?
I love how different these two are because one is a franchise and one is very much encapsulated within the movie. And I think that in and of itself is worth noting for this pair because ultimately I'm giving it to Working Girl. It is the better movie at the end of the day. And I'm not a huge Die Hard fan. But I think that when you talk about a movie from 1988 being encapsulated and held there, Working Girl is there. Still loved today, but it is very much of that time and kind of doesn't bleed outside those lines. So I'm going to give it a little bit of a favor because of that.
Okay. Kate, is it going to be Working Girl or Die Hard?
A really good point. Ugh. This was the hardest one in the bracket because I love both of these movies so much. And they are both exceptional examples of their individual kinds of movies. You could say one's a dude movie. You could say one's a chick movie. They are both human movies. I'm going to give it to Die Hard.
It's okay. I frankly, I do think that is ultimately the better choice here from a bracket perspective. But I think everyone should know how much we all appreciate Working Girl. It's up against Die Hard. So Die Hard will continue into the final four. Next, it's a battle of demons. The majority of the panel supporting a literal one in one seed Beetlejuice, while Kate is pushing for the metaphorical demon of narcissistic personality disorder, as evidenced in two-seed Beaches. Kate, be spectacularly passive-aggressive as you push for Beaches. Michael, tell us why you won't do 2 shows a night. You won't do it, but you will support Beetlejuice. Kate, please go first.
Oh, I was like, what? Did Eric just
Nope.
expect me to do an argument for something you didn't assign me? No, he did. It's Beaches. Okay, so, Michael made some great points about Beaches before. I'll get into some of the little nitty-gritty. Directed by Gary Marshall, brother of Penny, who Gary makes the much more saccharine films than Penny does, for what it's worth. Based on a novel of the same name by Iris Rainier Dart, during which there are more beaches throughout their lives, so the title makes more sense.
I'm just like, why is this called Beaches? This is stupid.
There's 2 beaches. No, there are like many beaches in Beaches, the book, starring Bette Midler and Barbara Hershey. It's about 2 girls who meet on the New Jersey boardwalk. Budding showgirl Cece Bloom, Wasp Queen Hillary Whitney. They become friends for life. They support each other. They break each other's hearts. They grow together. They lose touch. They get back together again. Some truly delightful Bette Midler musical numbers, including, as Bob alluded to earlier, the absolutely iconic Otto Titzling number. It's just iconic. These 2 women love each other. They fall apart. Hillary has a baby. Her garbage husband cheats on her. And then she and Cece raise the baby together. And then Hillary gets some weird disease and she dies. And oh my God, it's a lot. I saw this movie before I was 10. Anyone who saw this movie before they were 10 has been changed by it.
Yeah.
And yes, we did see it before we were 10 and we could access it and feel like it was really trenchant and meaningful. And that probably tells you something about its emotional depth and maturity. But never mind. Life is short. This movie is beautiful.
That's lovely. Thank you very much. The opposite of lovely, Michael Schwarz, talk to us about Beetlejuice.
I think that you, having seen this before you were 10, now explains a lot more about you, Kate.
Oh, yeah.
For us. But Beetlejuice, Michael Keaton, Alec Baldwin, Catherine O'Hara in this film. Please refer back to our best quote of Beetlejuice podcast that we did that just encapsulates everything that is just fantastic about this film. Again, it's a very 80s themed feeling film. When we go back to some people's rubric for the films for us, this is very 80s, but it can exist outside of that time frame too for you. We have recently had a sequel of which we will not speak much, mind you, for us, but the quotability of it, the visuals of it are really, even to this day, again, spawned a Broadway musical, which was fantastic and very underrated, like the film was, I think, as well, too, for it. But the performances that we get from Michael Keaton, just really being able to ad-lib and be his most inner, sarcastic, evil human being that he is as Beetlejuice. That we get, a very young Winona Ryder, who is dark and dank, and my entire life is a dark room moment for us. The acting, I think, is more on point in terms of the emotion that they do. It's not the melodramatic components that we get from Beaches, which is a lovely story. Nobody cries at the end of Beetlejuice, not even Eric. You get the drama of it, but you also get the comedy that comes out of it as well.
So, Bob Erlenback, is it going to be Beetlejuice or Beaches?
We have probably spoken about Beetlejuice on this podcast just as much as we've talked about 10 Things I Hate About You on this podcast.
Yep.
We have hit Beetlejuice so many times.
Yep.
It is one of my favorite movies of my life. It is one that is imprinted on me, similar to Heather's, I'm sure, for Kate, as well as Goonies for Kate, and any other Never-Ending Story for Kate. The list goes on. But anyway, I'm going to stick with Beetlejuice.
Okay. I am sticking with Beetlejuice here. And I know I said some shitty things about Beaches. I did. And I'm sorry. I take it all back. Barbara Hershey, we love you. Love your chocolate. But it is a wonderful melodramatic movie. They don't make them like that anymore. And that is a sin.
It's a competently made film. It's a competently made film.
Yes.
It is not doing anything creative or out of the box like something like Beetlejuice did in 1988.
And that's where exactly it. Beetlejuice was, the fact that it came out in 1988 is mind-blowing. That was a movie that, from a technical perspective and a content perspective, wow, that's something that got made from relatively little known directors crazy, right? So I'm giving it to Beetlejuice. It was just, I mean, audacious is a word that I would use to describe it. So we'll be moving Beetlejuice into the final four. Finally, in round two, the panel is unanimously voting to keep Living Large with 1 seed Big, which means that 2 seed Coming to America is coming to an end in our bracket. And with that, we have our final four. We're going to take a quick break to ponder the unique physiology of Jessica Rabbit. We'll be right back.
Want even more great pop culture debate in your life? We're talking behind-the-scenes shenanigans, hot takes fresh off the press, and all the pop culture goodness you can handle? Then you absolutely must follow us on social media. Get your daily dose of debates, polls, and hilarious commentary on all the latest trends. We're on Instagram and TikTok at Great Pop Culture Debate, and we've joined the Blue Sky Revolution at gpcd.bsky.social for even more in-depth discussions. So, whether you're team hashtag pineapple on pizza or team hashtag Die Hard is a Christmas movie, join the conversation. Follow the Great Pop Culture Debate on Instagram and Blue Sky and TikTok and all our other socials too, because the debate never sleeps.
And we are back with the final four of our Best Film of 1988 debate. At this point in the show, I like to take a step back and see if it shook out the way I expected it to. So we have all 4 1 seeds in the final four. Again, this doesn't actually happen that much in the podcast. It's Who Framed Roger Rabbit versus Die Hard, Beetlejuice versus Big. I think these are 4 terrific films. I think we've got some comedy, we've got some action, we've got some animated children's films, and I don't even know how you categorize Big. Is it a romantic comedy? Is it a coming of age story?
Is it a teen story?
I don't know how you categorize it.
It's true. It's a family movie.
It's a perfect movie.
Okay, well there you go.
For.
And we haven't talked about it yet. So we're going to start with Who Framed Roger Rabbit versus Die Hard. I would like to start at the top of the order. Bob Erlenback, where are you going?
I'm going to go with Roger Rabbit. We haven't spoken about it. Do you want to go around before we start to talk about it, or do you want me to go now?
Go now.
Yeah. Everything about this movie is special. It could not have happened at any other time before, and it certainly cannot happen after 1988.
Nope.
The fact that this movie happened is a miracle. From a legal negotiation perspective, you have cartoon characters from multiple studios in one film under the Disney banner, which I think was Touchstone, if I'm not mistaken.
It was
correct.
Yep.
I think the closest thing we've gotten since then is that Rescue Rangers movie that they had on Disney Plus.
Yep.
But it, from a technical achievement and cast perspective, it looks as good now as it did then, and it was so impeccably, painstakingly, attention to detail done to perfection that it is unmatched and unbeatable to this day, in my opinion. Jessica Rabbit, another thing that could not happen today, right?
No.
The fact that they got away with that in what was dubbed a children's film, right? It was a family film. It was that, but she is so mature and so body, right? And busty, I guess was the word I was looking for there. Bodacious, right? Yep. That wouldn't happen today. Like I said, it couldn't happen before. It can't happen after. It is within those lines of 1988, like no other film on this list. And I absolutely love it because the cast is amazing, and other people can talk about that in future rounds if it goes forward.
Okay, great. Kate, is it going to be Roger Rabbit or is it going to be Die Hard?
You know what Bob said about the 88-ness of this, and also for me in 1988, Roger Rabbit captured my imagination in a way that, like, I don't know if I've still recovered from. Like, it's such a beautiful film. It's such a weird film. It's such a dark film. Like, Jessica Rabbit wouldn't happen like that. Christopher Lloyd murdering a cute shoe to make a point wouldn't happen. You know, like, it's such a good, strange, particular story about movies and cartoons and filmmaking. It's really unique, and it was a huge hit. It's the best movie Robert Zemeckis will ever make. Boom, done, cut it, print.
Yeah.
I think I'm Roger Rabbit.
Michael Schwarz, is it going to be Roger Rabbit or Die Hard?
Well, I've spent the entirety of this podcast arguing for Die Hard and how much I love that film, but I'm sorry, Roger Rabbit is just an exceptional kind of thing. You know, I'm not bad, I'm just drawn that way. Mm-hmm. From Jessica Rabbit, speaking to the whole don't judge a book by its appearance kind of moments that we have that you don't get anywhere else. There's a moral component to that story that none of these other films have for you. You know, the integration of live and animation together, it was just such a technical masterpiece, along with such a fantastic story, characters, actors, voiceovers, the whole 9 yards, that really Roger Rabbit is, and on this side of the bracket, the number one film.
Yeah, and I'll also say this, watching it again recently for this episode, there's a real interesting social and kind of industrial commentary that goes on with this movie about the price of progress and what we lose. And watching it now, I'm just like, this is, it resonated, I'm sure, to adults in the 1980s who were kids in the 1950s because it was set, right? And it certainly resonates with me now, the things that we're losing in the argument for moving ahead. So yeah, it's a clean sweep for me. It's Roger Rabbit. Die Hard's great. It's really good at what it does. There is nothing else in the world like Roger Rabbit, period.
Roger Rabbit is Chinatown with cartoons.
Yep.
Yes.
And an absolutely spectacular, breathtaking technical achievement that it looks better, I think, because so much of what is happening now looks like garbage. Roger Rabbit looks pristine.
Absolutely. So we will be moving Who Framed Roger Rabbit into the final two. Next, it's Beetlejuice versus Big. I'm going to start in the back of the pack with Michael Schwarz. Where are you going here?
Oh, Beetlejuice. I think that Beetlejuice is by far the better film here, better acting, better storyline, better graphics, better visualizations than Big. And Kate can come for me now.
Well, one of the things that I've learned on this podcast, actually, with Kate, is it never even occurred to me as someone who loved Beetlejuice as a kid, Beetlejuice plays differently for young women. And so, Kate, from your perspective, is it Big or Beetlejuice, first of all?
1,000% it's Big.
Yeah. And is it because it literally never occurred to me until you point out, Beetlejuice is terrifying for young women. It's literally about child enslavement and women being coerced to do things.
Yep.
But is that the reason, or
That's
is
not
it
the reason?
Okay,
it's not the reason.
Talk to me about Big.
So I'll say Beetlejuice is. I really do appreciate and love Beetlejuice now. The technical stuff that's going on, the performances. It's a masterpiece. If it's masterpiece versus masterpiece, technically Roger Rabbit's going to win no matter what, right? So Big, like you said, Bob, Big is a really special movie. What is this movie? This movie, even then, was threading the needle because it could be so saccharine, it could be so silly, it could be so weird and inappropriate, and it's magic. This is a magical movie. So it was directed by Penny Marshall.
We love Penny Marshall, by the way.
We stand Penny Marshall. I would do a Penny Marshall
100, yes.
Gary's much less sentimental sister, who is the better filmmaker.
Totally.
So it was a huge hit. It grossed $151 million on a production budget of $18 million. It established Tom Hanks as a star. He'd been in some stuff like The Money Pit and Volunteers and stuff like that. But they were he got an Oscar nomination. For Best Actor for playing the adult version of Josh Baskin, played as a teen by David Moscow, known to fans of Newsies, who is frustrated. This kid is frustrated when he's not tall enough to ride a carnival ride with this girl he has a crush on. And he makes a wish on an arcade fortune teller named Zoltar to be big. So he turns into Tom Hanks, terrifies his mom. He runs away. He runs to the old pre-Disneyfied Times Square. This movie is a New York movie, bombed out pre-Giuliani New York movie. Gets a job at a toy company that he's obviously great at because he is a child, gets a girlfriend in Elizabeth Perkins, almost forgets, because he gets so caught up in being an adult, he almost forgets to track down the Zoltar to undo his wish. He learns most adults are children and learns that all of life, childhood included, is not to be rushed through. And wow, his loft. We talk about the New York real estate.
Loved it.
This movie, his loft is amazing. It's so incredible. So, how 80s is this movie? It is so New York in the 80s. It is so New York in the 80s, this movie. You've got the kind of corporate drag stuff. You've got Elizabeth Perkins. She's a hard career bitch until Tom Hanks wears his white suit and eats his tiny hors d'oeuvre corn and she starts wearing her hair more naturally. Children, even if they are magically adult men, make women more authentic when they've been poisoned by The Office. So that's how 80s this movie is. And I do still love this movie, even though absolutely that kind of conservative streak is in there. So the shadow is so long. Tom Hanks. They made a musical of this, but whatever. Tom Hanks, enormous keyboards you can dance on, but Tom Hanks. I remember going to see this movie as an 8-year-old, and I thought it was absolutely amazing. I could access it right away, but not in the way that I could access Beaches. Like, I understood that this was a movie about adults and kind of for adults, even though there was nothing in it that was inappropriate for me to see. It was accessible to me, and it was about my experience of being a kid and both wanting to and worrying about growing up. And it's so incredibly bittersweet. Like, when he makes the wish and Elizabeth Perkins is like, is this for real? And he's like, yeah, it's for real. And she drives him back home. And it's so bittersweet. She watches him walk away, and then he turns back into David Moscow, and she's like, fuck.
Yeah.
Did I sleep with a kid?
Exactly. It's like statutory rape. End credits.
End credits. And like the like taking something that's like so specifically weird and maybe inappropriate and actually making it about this like really complex experience of like being alive. Like, this movie is very special. I love it.
Thank you. That was lovely. Bob Erlenback, is it big or is it Beetlejuice?
If you listen to this podcast, you know how much I love Beetlejuice. And we talk a lot about these movies being vehicles for actors throughout this, and helping to launch actors. And Beetlejuice is the movie that launched a career for a director and a filmmaker, like created and validated a market for this very unique visual style and this macabre version of filmmaking that didn't really exist in that way previous to that, and made Tim Burton who he was and who he became. And some are good and some are bad. Listen to the best Tim Burton episode that we have. But it's probably also includes one of the best, if not the best, maybe of that year, but maybe not the decade, the best comedic performance in Michael Keaton as Beetlejuice that's ever been committed to film. The man is transcendent. The man is amazing in that role, in that movie, and it's okay in the second movie. But anyway, so I love Beetlejuice, but I can see it going out at this point, and I'm happy to vote for Big. So there you go, Big.
I'm still going to vote for Beetlejuice here, even though I agree with everything that Kate said. I love Big. I rewatched again for this. It was tear jerking. Again, you want to talk about the 80s-ness of it. Her Santa Fe style decor in the breakfast nook. I was like, mwah. No, it's a wonderful, special movie. And Tom Hanks also very cute in this movie.
So
like,
cute.
he's very, very attractive. But in terms of which movie is doing more interesting things for me and like was putting themselves on the map in a way nobody else did, I give it to Beetlejuice. And I don't have the seatings in front of me. I'm assuming Beetlejuice is over Big, so that would give us a tie. Beetlejuice would go to the final two. I'm sorry, Kate, you did a great job.
Thank you. I got to talk about Big. I got to think about Big.
You did. It gives us a final two of Who Framed Roger Rabbit versus Beetlejuice. I want to start smack in the middle. Kate Racculia, I think I have a feeling where you're going here. Which one is it?
When I killed your brother, I looked like this.
So Beetlejuice. No, that's a vote for Roger Rabbit.
You could think it would, yeah.
Yeah, right? It kind of could be both. Michael Schwarz, is it Who Framed Roger Rabbit or is it Beetlejuice?
Oh, this one's a hard one for me. This is like not how I had my final bracket, but I would accept this final bracket too. But I love Beetlejuice, but in this case, I am going to go with Roger Rabbit.
Bob Erlenback, is it Roger Rabbit or Beetlejuice?
I was really careful going through this bracket when we were picking films and identifying. We do a lot of episodes of like decades on this show, and best 90s this, best 80s that, to not say, oh, how 80s is this? And I think that both of these movies are very much 88 and not representative of a whole decade, and kind of existed and was a miracle to happen in that moment. So I like that they're up against each other here at the end. And I think at the end of the day, when you talk about what is the bigger achievement, they're both achievements technically, but the achievement that Roger Rabbit is of even happening in the first place can't be overlooked. 351 million, the number one global box office for the year. Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
Yeah, I think all of these final four are very special movies. They were, the fact that they all came out in the same year. And I wanted to underscore this point. I made it earlier. I don't know that we're having innovation at the way that we are at this level anymore. I think it's all IP farming. I think it's lowest common denominator, blah, 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 whatever case. As we record this, Onora just won the Best Picture Oscar. Obviously, that's not what we're talking about there. But like, these were ambitious films that took big swings and they all connected, and I love them. But there is no bigger swing, I think, than Who Framed Roger Rabbit. The fact that it exists is a miracle. It is so special. And I think it would be a crime if anything but Roger Rabbit won this particular debate. So there you have it, folks. Our pick for the best film of 1988 is Who Framed Roger Rabbit? Do you agree? Do you think we should lick it up, baby? Lick it up. Tell us how you really feel by leaving a comment on this episode at greatpopculturedebate.com or find us on Blue Sky or Mastodon. While you're there, make sure you subscribe and follow the podcast so you can hear about what new debates are coming soon, vote in open polls, and even decide which topics we tackle next. I want to say thank you to my panel. Like the characters of The Land Before Time, if we go on together, I know our dreams will never die. That fucking song. And thank you for listening. If you loved what you heard, please consider supporting us on Patreon, where you get even more exclusive content and you get episodes a whole day early. We hope you have a good one. And remember, everyone is entitled to their wrong opinion. Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.